This video is sponsored by the Rich Wallet. More on that later in the video. Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious sourdough rye bread. It's the American kind, not the Danish one. Hi, I'm Sune and I'm a food geek. Today I'm going to show you how to make an American rye bread. If you're interested in making a 100% rye bread, I have a recipe for a Danish rye bread. I'm linking to that video in the card above. This is a wheat-based bread, but with a significant amount of rye flour added. Also, caraway seeds are both added to the dough and to the top of the bread. While not specifically Jewish, this type of bread is associated with Jewish American cuisine and will often be eaten with pastrami or corned beef. It's sort of a cousin of the Swedish limpa, which I've done previously on the channel. The link is in the card above. So, for the last 10 years, I haven't been using a regular wallet. I use cards for everything. Even my driver's license and social security card are in credit card form. And I've been looking for the perfect wallet for cards, and now I found it. The Rich Wallet is not only gorgeous, it's also super practical. You can fit up to 12 cards, and there's a clip on the back if I need to keep some cash. It's light and super sturdy, and the Rich team is so confident that you'll like it, then they'll let you test drive it for 45 days. You can send it back for a full refund if you don't love it. If you're interested, check out the link in the description and use the coupon code Foodgeek at checkout for a 10% discount. Thank you to the Rich Wallet for sponsoring this video. The flours in this bread are varied a bit. 65% bread flour for structure and gluten power. 25% light or white rye for some rye taste but still a tender crumb. 10% whole grain rye flour for lots of rye taste and some added texture. The inoculation is 20% and the salt content is 2%, which shouldn't surprise anybody. Also, it has 2.5% barley malt syrup, which is a perfect companion for the rye taste. Barley malt syrup is made by sprouting barley grain and then drying them until the syrup is expelled from the grains. It has an excellent malt taste. If you've tasted anything malted, you should know exactly what I mean. Into the dough, 1.3% caraway seeds are added. If you really like caraway seeds, it can take more. The hydration is 70%, which could be a bit high depending on your flours. Start out lower to see how it comes along. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider becoming a member at Patreon. You can also buy some merch or use the links in the description for tools and ingredients. Those were the words. This is the recipe. There's a link in the description for the written recipe that I've posted on my website. To a medium bowl, add 520 grams of bread flour, 200 grams of light or white rye flour, 80 grams of whole grain rye flour, 16 grams of salt, 10 grams of caraway seeds. Mix it up so that everything is well distributed. Then add 160 grams of sourdough starter, fed and grown to its peak. 20 grams of barley malt syrup, 536 grams of water. You may want to reserve 50 grams of water in case your flour isn't very absorbent. Mix it together until no dry flour remains. This is the consistency that you're looking for. Scrape down the sides of the bowl. Cover the bowl and leave the dough to rest for an hour to develop the gluten. Then it's time for the first set of stretch and folds. Let the dough rest for 30 minutes. Then the second set of stretch and folds. And another 30-minute rest. And then the last set of stretch and folds. Check the gluten development by pulling a window pane. This dough is super strong. If it fails, rest for another 30 minutes and perform another set of stretch and folds. Then go on. Then put it in a see-through bulking container with straight sides. Level the top of the dough. Mark the top of the dough on the container and also where it will have grown 25%. Then put the dough in your proofer or somewhere warm until it's grown 25%. This is how my dough looked after fermentation. Then drop the dough out onto the kitchen counter. Weigh the entire dough. Put it back on the counter. Then measure out half. Now you have two doughs of the exact same size. Then shape each dough into a round using your bench scraper. And let them rest on the kitchen counter for 20 minutes to relax the gluten. Then it's time to final shape. I'll show you how to shape a boule, which is a round bread, and a batard, which is a cigar-shaped bread. First the boule. Start by flipping it over. Then pull out the sides and fold them in to create initial tension on top. Then use your bench scraper to pull the dough over the dry table. The dough gets pulled under itself in the front, making the dough tighter each time. Sprinkle caraway seeds on the top, which will be toasted when it's baked. Then flip it into the banneton. Then the batard. sprinkle flour on top so it doesn't stick to the counter while shaping. Flip it over, remove excess flour, and pull the dough out into a square shape. Fold the bottom up over the middle. Fold each side in. Fold the top down and tuck it into the sides. Then do a stitch at the top, in the middle, and at the bottom. Then roll up the dough and seal the dough. Sprinkle it with caraway seeds. Then flip it into the banneton and put them both into the fridge for at least 8 hours and up to 48 hours. An hour before you want to bake, load a baking steel or stone into your oven. Add a Dutch oven on top and heat the oven to 260 degrees Celsius, 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Then it's time to bake. Grab the dough from the fridge, dust it with rice flour to help it slide off the peel easily. Flip it onto the peel. Score the dough using a lamb. And add the dough to the Dutch oven. Put the lid on top. Bake for 20 minutes. Then take off the lid and lower the temperature to 230 degrees Celsius, 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Bake for 25 minutes more. Then take out the bread and put it on a wire rack to cool off. The batard is baked the exact same way, but let me show you how to score for an ear. Make sure you cool the bread completely before cutting into it. Worst case, you get a gummy bread. Best case, your bread will get stale way before it would have, because a lot of the water escapes as steam through the hole you cut. If you're going to serve the whole loaf for dinner, then by all means, go crazy. This bread has a high amount of rye, so I don't expect a crazy open crumb, but let's have a look at both breads. That looks really nice. Not crazy open, but certainly not a tight crumb. Let's look at the batard. That's even more open. Not super surprising because the batard shaping is a lot more gentle. I'll have a taste of this bread now. With butter, of course. That's delicious. It's pleasantly sour, distinct rye taste, wonderful malted notes from the barley syrup. The mild anise and earthy flavor from the caraway seeds is a perfect companion for the rye. The crust is crunchy and the crumb is nice and soft. This is a really good bread and it would go great with meats and cheeses. While I finish my slice, you can have a look at this gorgeous bread. Well, hello! It may look much like a regular sourdough bread, but the taste is something completely different. The rye, the malt, and the caraway seed take this bread to a completely different place. I like this bread with everything that I would eat with a Danish rye bread. Meats, spreads, cheese, heck, even a piece of pålægschokolade, which is a thin piece of chocolate that we eat on bread here in Denmark. You may think that caraway seeds and chocolate is a bad combo, but you'd be wrong. I hope you learned something today. See you next time.